Welcome to the design development video for the Folio Explained series. This is the video where I'm going to really be looking at the sketching processes that you need to follow. This isn't a video that's going to show you how to do the sketching. I've got some YouTube videos I'll link into the show notes that'll show you how to do that. But this shows you how we want you to document it in your folio, the process that we go through to create our designs. We need to understand that the design development process is that it's a process. And so that means there are steps that we need to follow to make sure that we get it right so that we're not jumping too quickly into the workshop, making mistakes and wasting timber. I'm going to be using terms like orthogonal, isometric, CAD and rendered throughout, and hopefully you understand what those are by the end of the video. And hopefully you're then able to head off and actually get your design development processes completed for your own project. So the design phase, it has to happen before you start producing, before you get into the workshops. It is a massive waste of money if you go straight into the workshops and just start cutting timber without any real idea of what your sizes need to be, what your shapes are going to be, how you're going to join them together even, and those sorts of things. Even if you've just got your overall sizes, that's not enough to head into the workshop, because what will happen is you'll end up being short when it comes to doing things like your joinery. Because joints like dovetail joints and finger joints, they actually overlap. So you lose length when you do things like that. So you really need to be aware of that and have all of your drawings 100% locked in, even your joinery selected, before you head into the production phase. We're going to start by looking at initial sketches. When we talk initial sketches, remember all of this sketching phase happens after your research. So you have already researched materials, tools, adhesives, processes, all of those sorts of things. But more importantly, you've already researched existing ideas. And it's the existing ideas that you're going to be using in this step, idea generation. So get yourself an A4 page, get yourself a pencil, and start sketching heaps of different ideas. Different shapes, different styles, different thicknesses, different lengths, different widths, different depths, whatever it might be. Play around with a whole heap of different configurations in a full A4 page. One page completely filled with a range of sketches. Okay? You can see on the screen there, on the right-hand side, that's an actual student's work from Year 9. Okay, this is a student who's gone in and filled an A4 page with some thumbnail sketches of serving trays that they plan to make for their serving project. From these sketches, they were then able to pick a few, refine those designs further, and then pick one, refine it further, and then they head off into the workshop and start producing. Now I've got a video there on why thumbnail sketches are important, and I encourage you to have a look at it. I've got the link in my notes on the YouTube channel, so have a look there. But you can see we're looking for real high quality drawings by the end of the project. And it starts with these basic thumbnail sketches at the beginning. So here we go. Once you've done your thumbnail sketches, pick 3, 4 or 5 of them. 3 is the minimum, 5 is pretty much what we're looking for though. And for each of the ones that you've picked, your 5 best ideas, we now want you to pick and draw a full A4 page sized drawing for each one. So if you're doing 5 ideas, by the end of this section of the folio, you're going to have 5 more pages of sketches included. 1 concept per page. On these drawings, we want to see your top view, front view, and side view for this project. And if you're pushing those limits, working right at the top, then you're also going to include an isometric drawing as well. The idea here is that we are refining the ideas. We've picked 3, 4 or 5 possible options from your basic sketches, and we're developing them further. We're starting to put in detail like thicknesses of the material. So rather than just being basic line sketches, we're now starting to see depth and tone and shape. We're starting to get a bit of detail around size and ratios. And at this point, if you were in my year 11 or 12 class, I'd get you to start thinking about the golden ratio and actually getting these bits of furniture designed to a fairly common scale. We might start putting in annotations as well, talking about what sort of joinery we might be using, what sorts of materials or extra processes like epoxy resins or plywoods or those sorts of things to be included. Might even be talking about colours here or contrast or hardware, fixtures and fittings. All of those extra bits of detail that you've researched, you're now starting to incorporate them into your designs. When you're doing these as well, it's quite possible that you're going to have two concepts that look fairly similar, but you've made slight adjustments to them. That's okay, and I actually encourage that because it means you kind of understand what you want it to look like as an overall, and you're now just deciding on the nitpick details. Okay? So it's good if some of them are a little bit similar, because then it helps you to decide which features and characteristics you actually do want to see in your project. Top, front, and side view for each. Once we've done those 5 concept drawings, those large A4 sized concept drawings, it's then that we're ready to move to phase 2 here, which is the concept selection phase. This is the part of the process where we get what looks like a little bit technical, but really it's analytical. We need to come up with an objective way to decide which one are we going to actually make. So if I've got 3 ideas and they all look similar, which one of them do I actually make? And it's sometimes hard to know which one you want to make because you think they're all good. And it's usually at this step that I might have a student come to me and say, look, I like both of these ideas, but I don't know which one to make. And so the concept comparison chart is a nice objective way to decide which one you should be making. What you do is you make a table like I've got there. You put your 3, 4, or 5 different ideas across the top. And then down in each row, you list your criteria for success. So it might be things like, I want it to be a square shape. I want it to have at least 2 drawers. It needs to be strong enough to hold up a 20 kilo bookshelf. Whatever your criteria might be. Once you've got those criteria and you've got your designs across the top, you then go in and tick and cross. Does idea 1 meet criteria 1? Yes, it does. What about idea 2? Does it meet criteria 2? Criteria 1, sorry? Yes, it does. Idea 3? No, it doesn't. When you complete this, you can just look at it and visually see which design you should be making based on your criteria for success. And if we're using the one on the screen right now, it should be pretty clear to you that idea 1 is the design you should be building. And the reason for that is because it meets the most number of criteria. However, sometimes it's not that easy, and a simple tick and cross won't give you a clear-cut winner. Maybe you'll have 2 that have tied. When that happens, I encourage you to use the same table, but instead of ticking and crossing, to actually use a rating system. Now, I'm using a rating system of 5 stars. What we do is we go through and say, idea 1, how well does it meet criteria 1? Really well? 5 out of 5 stars? Not very well at all? 1 out of 5 stars? Or kind of meets it? 2 out of 5 stars? Who knows? So you go in and fill in the number of stars, how well you think it does it. So this is now a rating system. Then, to work out which is the winner, you can then say, how many stars did each idea get? And in this table, idea 1 got 10 stars, idea 2 got 12 stars, and idea 3 got 7 stars. And based on this system, idea 2 is the one that I should be making. It takes that personal choice out of it and makes it more objective. The trouble that I find with this system is that sometimes it will give you the answer you didn't want. Sometimes it will tell you to make a design that you didn't personally like. But what's important to know is that your project should be based on meeting the criteria for success within the limitations that have been provided to you, while satisfying the client's needs, and they should all be linked together. So if you really think that this process has given you the wrong answer, maybe you need to go back and do some more sketching and start this process all over again. Or maybe it's time to go and have a meeting with the client to ask them what they think about your design and whether they like the one that this process selected. But at least now you've got your one idea. And once you've got that one idea, you are ready to move into the rendered and annotated sketch phase. So let's move in. Rendered sketches. Rendered is essentially colored in, is probably the best way to think about it. But it's more than just coloring it in. It's about giving tone, texture, shape, character to your drawing. And you do that through careful shading and careful coloring and careful details that you add. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, this isn't a video that's going to tell you or teach you how to sketch. That's a whole separate course. But that's what we're looking for, that right-hand side sketch. That's what we're looking for in terms of your final sketch before you move into SketchUp. You really need to know what it looks like before you get there. And sure, it might change slightly, but it's going to be bloody close to that. There is a video there again, I'll link that into the show notes, and that's there to help you see how a professional designer goes about designing furniture using simple front, side, and isometric drawings. Okay? So I'll leave that in the notes for you to watch. The second part of this is adding annotations. Now, annotations are very simple. You're probably used to animations from some of your other subjects. All we need to do is go through and add some details in. Details about function, features, species of timber, hardware, fixtures and fittings, processes you might follow, and even basic dimensions. The more detail you add in, the more successful these sketches are, because it makes it so much easier when you're getting into SketchUp, into your CAD software to design. What we look for in this section, in that final sketch, is a combination of these annotations and that quality of render. You're now ready to move into SketchUp. But I've got a quick note that I want to share with you before we do that. There are marks in the HSC for how well you communicate information in the folio and your use of ICT skills. One very simple way that we can see when we're marking if you have good ICT skills and good communication skills is through your sketches. If you look at the images at the bottom, it is pretty clear to see that the two images on the right have been scanned and the image on the left has been put in there using a photograph from a phone. Photographs are really great things. Even if you've got the latest iPhone, if you're taking a photo of a page, you are going to get covered in shadows. And it's that dark grey shadowy background that is our problem here. It doesn't look professional, it doesn't look neat and tidy, and it is so easy to fix. Please, please, please use a scanner. There are scanners located in the library. They are free to use. you scan your card, put your image in, and press email, and it will email you a high quality scan of your documents. The other way that you can do it, if you're running late, you've forgotten to scan your images and it's frantic the night before and you want to get yourself some easy marks locked in, download apps like Adobe Scan or Cam Scanner on your smartphone, and then you can use your smartphone's camera using these apps to get you a close to perfect scan. It'll certainly be better than the grey mess you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there. Okay? So as you're working towards HSC level, we really want to see scanned, and so we expect that of our Year 10 and 11 students, and we encourage it for the Year 9 students as well. But we're now ready, like I said, we've picked that one image that we're going to use, and we're now ready to move into CAD drawings. CAD drawings are where we get really technical. It's where we get super accurate, and it's where there is no longer any guesswork. We have to actually know all of the sizes. Because when we're finished drawing, if we've drawn it correctly, we should be able to 3D print using our CAD drawings. If we had a CNC machine, we'd be able to cut all our pieces on the CNC machine and just simply assemble them together. And for us, we'll be able to produce our workshop drawings that have all the dimensions we need so that we can actually get into the workshop and cut the timber to the size that's needed and know that it's going to fit together. It takes time, but it is definitely worth doing it properly. And what I mean by that is, number one, every single piece needs to be drawn as its own component. That way you can delete and add and edit without impacting your whole project. It will mean that you can explode or pull apart your drawing to see how each of the pieces fit together, and you can digitally assemble it. Now, the benefit of digital assembly is that you can find all those gaps and overhanging sections before you accidentally cut the wrong size timber. Once you've got your model created in the virtual world in CAD, for us SketchUp, press Command 7. That'll send you into an isometric view. Now, isometric views look like this, what we would call a three-dimensional view. They show us the top, the front, and the right side. I'd get this view and I'd send it into layout. I would pick a title block template and make sure it has 3 key bits of information. My name, or your name, the person who drew the project, the title of the project, and the date that you drew it. If you are a HSC student and you're watching this video, remove your name now and put your student number in. Please do not put your name on your title blocks. Okay. Once you've got your isometric drawing, we can then use the Make Ortho Views to get your orthogonal drawings. Now, your orthogonal drawings are a technical type of drawing that have front, side, and top views. They usually have dimensions and they're presented in a technical manner. They look like this. Again, they go onto a layout, onto a drawing block. But let's look at the features of what makes good quality orthogonal drawings. Firstly, each of the views on the screen lines up. The top view lines up perfectly to the front view, and the front view lines up perfectly to the side view. So if I was to cut this up, print it out, cut it up, and stick it together with sticky tape, I'd be able to fold it and I would get a 3D model looking like the isometric image you can see in the top right. The other aspect is when we use Make Ortho Views, it gives us lots of different views. It gives us top, front, bottom, left side, right side, and the back. You can delete all the ones you don't need. You need the top, you need the front, and you need the right side, and then we keep the isometric in. But the bottom can go, the back can go, and the left side can go. Send that into layout, add yourself some dimensions, and then you're done. If we're working at the very top end of CAD in workshop drawings, you should produce an orthogonal drawing like this for each individual component in your project. So if there are 15 different parts to your project, then you should have 15 different orthogonal drawings, top, front, and side view, and the dimensions required to make each one. When you go into the workshop, it's then super easy to actually get cracking and make your project. That's the end of the design phase. Like I said, no details on how to actually sketch, just the details on how we want you to document this. The next video talks through the production phase, the processes around safety and how to document that, and also how to document your production processes and the problems and the solutions that you've had along the way. Hope this video has been real helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next one.